The buffalo just escaped, or so it thinks. What has been tracking its scent for 3 days carries a venom that stops blood from clotting. 6 different types of toxins, and the patience of something that already knows it has won. This is not a crocodile, not a snake. It is a lizard, the largest lizard that has ever existed on Earth. And it has a secret that science took 60 years to discover. To get here, you first have to get to Labuan Bajo, a small town on the western coast of Flores, Indonesia. And from there, a boat, 1 to 2 hours crossing the Indian Ocean. No signal, no city on the other side, just water. And then arid land rising out of the horizon, Komodo Island. 390 square kilometers. No town, no main road, 8 months of dry season every year, temperatures that exceed 40 degrees on the ground. The Komodo Dragon lives here, and also on Rinca and Zilimotan, 2 nearby islands where the species is present. But there is an important difference. The largest individuals, the true giants, are on Komodo Island. This is where the species reach its maximum size, and this is where the encounter is also the most intense. The boat from Labuan Bajo takes between 1 and 2 hours, long enough for you to start understanding that you are leaving the known world behind. When you step on the island, the first thing you notice is the silence, and then just meters from the landing jetty, the first one, motionless, looking at nothing in particular, as if your arrival is completely irrelevant. The first time you stand in front of a Komodo dragon in the wild, something happens that no photograph can prepare you for. There is no roar, no visible threat, just a 2-meter animal walking towards you, with complete indifference, as if you are not the most relevant species in the place. And in that moment, you understand that you are not. The Komodo dragon, Varanus komodoensis, 3 meters in length, 70 kilograms of muscle, the only lizard on the planet that regularly hunts and kills deer, wild boar, water buffalo, and goats. The only terrestrial predator on these islands. No competition, no rival. But before we talk about the place, you need to understand how this animal works on the inside. Because what it is inside should not exist in a reptile. For 60 years, everyone believed the same thing, and everyone was wrong. The official story said the Komodo's bite skills because its mouth is full of a dangerous bacteria, that its saliva was a mixture of pathogens accumulated from feeding on carrion. It was a convenient explanation, and in 2009, a team led by Brian Fry took it apart completely. They analyzed Komodo saliva and found its bacterial load was completely normal for a carnivore. The animals do not die of infection, they die of biochemistry. In the lower jaw, there are glands producing 6 types of toxins. Phospholipase A2 prevents blood from clotting. Vasodilatory peptides cause a sudden drop in the blood pressure. Toxins that generate pain so intense they shut down the prey's muscle coordination. None of them are injected. They flow passively through grooves between the teeth and enter directly through the lacerations. Those teeth have already opened. The system needs no needle, only the wound. And that explains the buffalo at the start. It does not die from the bite. It dies 3 days later when the blood no longer clots. The pressure has fallen and the legs do not respond. The Komodo does not need to fight. It only needs contact to have happened once, and the patient to follow the trial to the end. It has a heart that no reptile should have. Most reptiles have three cardiac chambers where oxygenated and deoxygenated blood mix together. The Komodo has a muscular wall that keeps them completely separate. High pressure for the body, low pressure for the lungs. Its muscles receive clean blood, like mammals, confirmed by a genomic study published in Nature Ecology and Evolution in 2019. It can sustain intense effort far longer than any other lizard. The same study found genetic selection in mitochondrial energy production genes. The result? It can run, fight, and track for periods that would exhaust any other lizard of its size. It is not a single sprint animal. It is built for sustained pursuit, and it can raise its blood pressure almost instantly from complete rest to full sprint in seconds. The Komodo's tongue is not for tasting, it is for navigating. It flicks its tongue up to 40 times per minute when tracking. Each time it retracts, it deposits chemical particles from the air onto Jacobson's organ in the palate. The two tips collect samples from slightly different positions. The brain compares the concentration at each tip and calculates the direction of the source. Chemical triangulation, a GPS that uses molecules instead of satellites. It can detect death from 9.5 kilometers away. Under optimal wind conditions, the trail of a dead animal can guide it across nearly 10 kilometers of arid terrain. Nothing dies in its territory without it eventually knowing. Its zone of influence is not defined by what it sees, it is defined by what it smells. 60 serrated teeth that replace themselves for its entire life. Its teeth are designed to tear, not to hold. When one falls out, the next takes its place within weeks. Over its lifetime, it can produce more than 200 different teeth. Its mouth is never unharmed. Its claws are 10 centimeters long and can cut through muscle. It can eat 40 kilograms in a single setting and not eat again for weeks. A single female can found an entire colony without any male. This is called parthenogenesis, documented in 2006 and 2007. No fertilization required. The offspring are genetically viable. Always male, a single female on an empty island can start a complete sexual population with her first generation of sons. It is a reproductive safety net that no other large vertebrate in its group possesses. But their own young have to survive the adults. At birth, they weigh between 100 and 150 grams. Adults are opportunistic, cannibals. The only protection is height. They live in trees for 2 or 3 years, till they are too large to be worth eating. They do not come down by choice. They come down when the adult's energy calculation changes. The Komodo is not the fastest, it is the most inevitable. It locates prey with its tongue from over a kilometer away. Then it approaches slowly using vegetation and rocks as cover, closing the distance over hours if necessary. When it attacks, the sprint lasts 2 or 3 seconds at 20 kilometers an hour, enough to intercept a deer that has not seen it coming. The attack lasts no longer than that. Everything else comes after with large prey. It bites once and leaves. An adult deer that fights back can injure its eyes. The risk is not worth it. It delivers. One bite into vascular tissue and retreats, then it attacks. The venom works. The Komodo just follows the trail to the end. The distance between the bite and the death can be kilometers and days. It always arrives. When we were on the island, the dragons were still hunting. Not in a demonstration, not for the tourists, out in the scrub. In the dry savanna, with the tongue going in and out, following trails none of us could detect. And that reminds you of something important. It's not a zoo. These animals are not here to be observed. They are here because they have been here for millions of years, and they do exactly what they have always done. Attacks on humans are not a myth. They have happened and they have been fatal. There are documented cases of tourists and park workers attacked by Komodo dragons on the island. In most cases, the attacks happen when someone gets too close, falls, or simply is in the wrong place when the dragon decides they deserve attention. A Komodo attack does not resemble a dog bite. It is a bite from 60 serrated teeth with venom that prevents clotting. Without immediate medical attention, it can be fatal. And on an island with no hospital, immediate medical attention does not exist. The guides carry sticks, not for show. In Komodo National Park, visitors must be accompanied by official guides who carry forked poles, the only proven method for keeping a dragon at distance if it approaches. They are not weapons, they are barriers. The goal is not to harm the animal. It is for the animal to understand that you are not easy prey. Because if you look like you are, it processes that information in exactly that way. The Komodo dragon does not distinguish between the tourist and the deer. It does not care about difference. This is not blind aggression, it is evaluation. The Komodo constantly assesses. Is this prey? How does it move? Is it injured? Is it valuable? A person who trips, sits on the ground, or falls behind the ground can trigger exactly the same response as a limping deer. And the Komodo's response in that case is always the same: one bite and then waiting. When several Komodos share a carcass, there are rules no one wrote and everyone follows. The largest adult males eat first. Females wait, so adults take the remains. Juveniles approach only when the adults have finished. If they dare, the order is established through posture and movement, not through constant fighting. The largest does not need to prove anything. Its presence is enough. Males compete standing upright. No other reptile does this. During the breeding season, they rear up on their hind legs, using the tail as a third point of balance, and grapple chest to chest, upright body combat that can last several minutes. A badly injured loser may become food for the winner. In this ecosystem, there are no second chances. It learns, and that surprises researchers. Individuals that recognize their keepers, juveniles that play with objects for no apparent survival purpose, a speed of conditioning-based learning that exceeds many reptiles with proportionally larger brains. The Komodo evaluates, remembers, and adjusts, does not run on instinct alone. Everything you have just seen has one single explanation: where it lives. Wallace's line, the invisible boundary separating Asian and Australian fauna, passes just the west of these islands. East of the Lombok Strait, the large Asian carnivore mammals, tigers, leopards, never cross. There are none here. There never were. And into that vacuum, the ancestors of the Komodo arrived from Australia and grew without anyone stopping them. On Java or Sumatra, the Komodo could never have become what it is. With tigers and leopards already established, a giant monitor would have had no room to grow. Here, on these arid and remote islands, evolution only had to perfect the mammal heart. The sixth toxin venom, the GPS tongue, the parthenogenesis. All of it is the result of millions of years of refinement with no interference. These islands are not just where the Komodo lives, they are the reason it exists. And that is why the largest individuals are on Komodo Island, not on Renka or not on Jilimotang. The other islands have smaller populations with generally smaller animals. Komodo Island, the largest of the group, with more territory, more prey available, and optimal conditions, is where the animal reaches its maximum development. If you want to see the Komodo in its fullest form, you have to cross that strait from Labuan Bajo. There is no other way. There is a moment on Komodo Island where the sun drops and the dragons stop moving. They hold still on the rocks, angled towards the last heat of the day, with that stillness that only belongs to very old things. And then you understand something that no book can fully explain, that you are in the only place on the planet where this animal was possible, that the boat from Labuan Bajo did not just bring you to an island, it brought you to one of the most extraordinary evolutionary experiments that exist. And if that experiment disappears, there is no backup island. The buffalo at the start died on the third day. The Komodo did not even have to return to the bite site. That is what makes this animal different. Not strength, not speed, efficiency. A heart that gives it a mammal's endurance. A venom that works on its own while it waits. A tongue that turns wind into a map. And the ability to reproduce without a mate, if it is ever left alone. All of that evolved here. On these islands, you reach by boat from Labuan Bajo in the only place where no one told it to stop. There are fewer than 1,400 wild Komodo dragons in the world, all on these islands. No hospital nearby, no competition, no one telling them to stop. The dinosaurs did not survive. This one did, and it is still doing exactly what it has always done. Bite once and wait.